about the creative process. Jackie, can you sort of tell me what's the inspiration for getting that creative process happening? How does it work? Because it's a big job to get a magazine out and to do all the multi-touch points around it.
Yeah. Well, you know, it depends on which angle we're looking at, and I'll skew it again to advertising because of the audience that we have here. So you guys get a brief, you know, you guys give us a brief, and then what we do is it's not one person, it's not editorial, it's everybody coming together. It's advertising, marketing and editorial sitting down together in a room looking at what's the outcome, what are we looking for, and we just sit down and we brainstorm and we come up with ideas. We probably come up with 20 ideas, throw out 19 of them and then deliver you that one. And it is, you know, it's about bringing collective minds together. I think everybody today working on brands have to be creative. So it doesn't matter whether you are in advertising or editorial or marketing or even in circulation, because everybody has a role to play. And we just brainstorm and you know, it's brainstorming, and that's why we always say we want to push back on you guys. Don't give us 24 hours, because can you imagine what we can do in 48 as opposed to 24?
When is it not 24 hours? I've never had a brief that's shorter than 24 hours.
Well, you know, that's something, you know, it is something to consider, because it's about getting everyone in the room and really kind of workshopping the ideas. I don't know. Please ask us questions as well. Throw up, because I'm sure what we say, you think, oh, what about that? Or, you know what I mean? So throw it at us. We're here because we want to engage with you, because it's about, you know, communicating what your needs are and what we do.
I think the creative process is so different today. I think probably alluding to what Jackie said before. So Vogue, for example, you might think, well, we're going to tell you that, you know, the fashion team sits down and thinks of, you know, the trends that are going on and how they're going to roll that out into a beautiful fashion spread, which they still do. But our mission at Vogue is really to wake up with our audience at 7 o'clock in the morning when they roll over in bed and check their Facebook page and click through to vogue.com.au. When they're on the bus, we want to entertain them on the way, so it mightn't be about fashion, but it might be about what Kim Kardashian's done overnight. At work, we want to engage them at their desktop. And then at night, we want to give them a relaxing, laid-back read while they're watching television on their laptop. So from 7 o'clock in the morning to actually 10 o'clock, we've actually got shift work happening at Vogue now. So we have a team that starts at 7, and they have a team that probably finishes about uploading on our website at 8. So the creative process actually goes probably 24 hours a day. I mean, each part of the channel of Vogue, I guess, presents different creative opportunities for us. So traditionally, yes, the magazine is still about us going to Paris, the Milan shows, bringing back those trends that we see on the catwalk and reinterpreting those for the Australian audience. But throughout the day, we have to think, well, how, you know, even today with this incredible news that's happened overnight, so sad, we really have to think creatively how we're talking to our Vogue audience throughout the day. So we might be doing some celebrity news today, we might be doing some really deep thinking lifestyle material, realising that our audience is going to be in the mood of, my gosh, I can't believe this has happened to Australians. So we actually creatively have to think of how our brand lives within what is going on around the world at the same time.
I've got a really simple way that we work at Real Living, and for me, I have to say that Instagram has been a huge source of content for me, and touching base with so many wonderful young artists, designers. It's just this, I found it's just opened up this whole world, and it's a little bit like crack, I have to say. I know I'm totally addicted. It's, you know, put it down 3 o'clock in the morning. But I brought this along just to show you, because this is an art board. This is, it's old-fashioned, but it still works so beautifully at Real Living. I just have a mood board in the office, and it changes as a constant. And it's huge, it fills the whole wall, and it inspires absolutely everybody. They'll come in and rip things off there, and off they go with an idea. But from a creative point of view for editorials and sourcing stuff, that's just, you know, it's just filling your mind with beautiful imagery and ideas, and that just, so many ideas flow from that. So it's simple.
And is your whole team putting images up there?
We have a few boards around the office, so they'll go up everywhere, and it's just, it seems really simple, you know, but you'd be amazed. I'll get people from advertising walking in and going, God, that image is great. Or even just seeing, printing stuff off Instagram, printing whatever, sticking up things that have been sent to me, plants. I've got Real Living plants up there. actual, you know, air plants, and just that will trigger an outdoor feature. And especially, you know, for the advertorials, I'm always saying, if you see something that we're doing to our ad team and they get excited about it and think, I can sell that in, I'm like, don't sell in that exact story. Add to that story, give me more to that story so that my readers actually gain the added value from it, rather than just going, oh, they're doing storage, let's go to Howard Storage and show boxes. I'm like, no, give me more than that. And turn that into an advertorial and into a little movie in digital. And then, you know, when you get the ad right in the magazine, it's incredible how well it works, and your advertiser gets excited, and that's what I want. That's why we'd love a little more time sometimes, because you really do want to deliver great ideas, because you love thinking of them. So, you know, it's just, yeah, it's simple, really. It's just doing good work.
Any other questions?
I'm just curious, have you ever been given a brief where you've been just stumped and thought, this doesn't fit with our magazine, this doesn't fit with our messages, our values, what we preach? And if yes, how did you deal with that, and how did you come back to say to people like us and say, you should be able to turn something away and say we can't do this? Or...
Have you ever heard of no but?
That's exactly
that's the, you know, I say to everybody who I work with, it's that there's never, you know, oh, we can't do this. It's no, but have you thought of? And that's really, you know, it's got to make sense. It's got to make sense with the brand values.
I think also to that point, we always, I think particularly in magazine brands, or you know, brands that we look after, we're always pushing for a relationship between the editorial team, the advertising team, and the client. So over time, those kind of briefs, and if you're talking to a particular audience, if you have access to the editor, go, well, I can understand the consumer you're trying to reach, and you could probably reach them with our brand, but here is the way we would suggest you'll get the most bang for your money by executing your creative campaign in this way. And
also,
I think that's our job.
And I think, you know, there is a lot of talk about, you know, print dead, this constant thing. But, you know, magazines really, it's the beauty of the thing. It's you pick it up, it's tangible, you touch it, you can smell it. It's a wonderful product, and it's credible, it's accurate. And I think if you, especially high ticket items, so a car, for example, in a magazine, it gives people more security, I think, because it's not an ad they're flicking through, it's an ad they've got time to stop and look and consider and then drive to mobile, you know, to buy it, or online. But yeah, print still has this beautiful thing, it sits in the home for months, whereas an ad can disappear, and, you know, or you're scared of spam or viruses, but print still has this beautiful little niche, and it'll never go away, I don't think.
I can answer that question as well.
Wait, let's hear. Yeah.
I just got one question on that, how magazine, like print is currently seen as dead.
I don't think it is. I actually don't think it is. Sorry.
I come from a TV background, obviously, but I just want to know how you would keep the content of the print compared to what you have in digital, obviously, because digital is updated overnight with like an updated stories every day.
Okay, can I answer that? I just think you're looking at it too siloed. We forget magazine. We're talking brands. We're talking very strong brands, and our footprint is across multiple platforms. Each platform, if you're just publishing once and then multiplying that across, forget it, you're not doing your job. It's about looking at the different platforms. What is the engagement that's at? What does that platform serve? How does that work for the user? And creating content that works across those platforms. So for example, if I was to put out a magazine that had a whole lot of, a gallery of images, just that, it wouldn't work on the magazine, but the gallery of images works fabulously when they want to go on the website and have a look at, you know, the latest runway, right? So it's about us understanding how people are consuming the content, and that's what we need to know, and that's what we do know. That's what we're experts at. We're experts at developing content. We're experts at delivering content. We're experts at understanding the consumer and how to engage the consumer. So, you know, it's kind of like we would never put some. It's not like that. That's an easy thing for us because that's our understanding. We know the mindset of the consumer and we understand how they are digesting information and where they're digesting it and what kind of information works across what platform. And it's really important that we're across all the platforms because it's about our footprint. It's not about, you know, what they see in the mag. It's about when they want to engage with your brand and there are specifics that they would expect from your brand, that's what we need to understand and know. And that's what an editor needs to know nowadays. You know, it's not just about, you know, what are they going to put in the mag and then how are they going to translate that to this. It's really different.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a misnomer. So print is definitely not dead. If you look at the fashion category, circulation absolutely stable.
We're plus 15. We're plus 15 in fashion. And health. Health was plus, I can't remember. Jared, can you help me what health was? Health was plus something. It's like specific categories. You know, when you talk about news, for example, yes, if I had a news mag that was purely a news mag, forget it. Because news is coming too fast, it's too accessible, it's, you know, you pick up your phone in the morning, you open your Twitter and you know what's going on around the world. If I have to wait to go and buy, you know, a magazine to find out about my news, you're dead, you're done. But there are categories, there are specific things that we're growing.
Yeah, so homes, for example, we've actually seen new launches in this space. I mean, Deb's been driving force of that. Real Living, a phenomenal brand.
We're actually also working on something else new. It's just, you know, it's forever going.
And well, to our point before, it's like the medium has to match the consumer's desires that particular time. So homes, if you look at that category, poring over the pages of A Beautiful Spirit of a Home is still very much in the consumer's way of looking for inspiration. Vogue, for example, yes, they want to get their inspiration, but they'll go for vogue.com.au for their daily dose of news. So we actually treat our channels very separately, but we're speaking to a very similar audience. So, you know, websites, yes, they have to be newsy. So that's why we update almost 24 hours a day, but we pour, and we're actually investing more in our editorial in the pages in our magazines, you'll probably find across the board, because we're realising that we still get a high return from the print model as well.
Any other questions?
You kind of just touched on this, but I was just wondering if you see many more opportunities for magazine launches, like areas that aren't being met already, where there is potential there, or would those kind of audiences be met more with like a digital offering as opposed to a print?
Both. Both, depending on what the content is. You know what I mean? It depends on who you're, you know, what the consumer is. It depends. It's like what you just said, you know. If you want to look at, there are things that lend themselves to being on a page glossy and beautiful, and there's no better experience than that, you know. And then there's things that are better on a website that's launched on a website, you know. So it really does depend. I suppose the question you're asking really is there growth in magazines, aren't you?
Yeah, if there's opportunity to launch more magazines.
Yes.
I wish I could say more, but the competition's here.
No, do tell.
I'm not home. I don't do home.
I do though. I'm very interested.
Shh, you may have forgotten. Yes.
Look, if you do look at the homes grade in particular, I think that is so vibrant. Look at Better Homes and Gardens. It still sells over 300,000 copies a month. I've taken Inside Out to 12 issues, which was, when I took over, it was a bi-monthly. Vogue Living is increasing its circulation. Real Living keeps on being a powerhouse.
Home Beautiful,
exactly. And you can see that category is, you know, that's being driven off this frenzy for renovation. So the block and house rules are really driving something that we saw probably 10 years ago with the backyard blitzes, where we saw the gardening magazine category go. With those service magazines where people will see an inspirational, oh gosh, I really want to do that. They want to go still into a supermarket and newsagent the next day to pick up a magazine. And so, you know, we're seeing that we can actually still tap into finer segments without probably giving away what we're talking about. So, yeah, definitely in that category. Also, you could probably launch a magazine that's not necessarily reliant on advertising. So look at the Frankie example. So tapping into a really beautiful niche, you know, but driving, you know, I guess their revenue purely, well not purely, but for the most part, on circulation. So, you know, we're doing some one-shots, and we're investigating certain niches which, you know, Donna Hay, for example, we put out Fresh and Light, which was a nod to this new sort of trend in food, which is about, you know, 1,000 grains and superfoods and all that kind of stuff. And we put a piece of kale on the front of the cover and think, oh my God, Dom, this is not going to work. Sold out 50,000 copies. And so that's probably going to roll out into a more regular publishing schedule.
And also look at things like Net-a-Porter. I love that there's this wonderful website, and then they launched this magazine. First magazine I've ever subscribed to, because I've always loved going to the newsstand. Saw Net-a-Porter and I had to have it immediately, and that's fashion there, you know.
So, great. Any other questions? Yep.
How important has it been building like your own personal brand since then with the magazine? Like I know with Jackie, you kind of feature a lot on Sunrise, and like all have Instagram, Twitter accounts. Has that kind of been crucial over the last 5 to 10 years doing that? Becoming your personality, becoming.
Aren't we all brands now?
Yeah. So it has been.
Yeah, it was actually quite funny. For me, the way it started was being on Sunrise, and we were talking about Twitter. And I was sitting there talking about Twitter, and I'm like, oh, I don't have a Twitter account. Oh, someone set me up on Twitter. And that's, you know, and I'm addicted to social media. I'm completely addicted to social media. And quite honestly, the girls won't let me, they wouldn't let me have the Marie Claire one because I can't spell. And so we set me up, I'm separate, I'm me, myself. And look, you know what, I think that people like to know who's behind the brands that they're engaging with. I think it's, you know, it goes back to that peer-to-peer type scenario, and whether they trust, you know, they don't, you know, they want to know who's behind the brands, and I think it is important. And I think, you know, especially at Pacific, we're in an incredible position where we are part of a TV network, and of course we're going to use that as one of our touch points, one of our platforms. And it is important for editors today to be able to be performing monkeys, really. And yeah, so it is part of the industry. Just, you know, like, you know, especially social media, where you know, it's about people wanting to engage with individuals and peers and see what you stand for and all that kind of stuff.
Also, we realise the importance of, I guess, our brand ambassadors within each of the brands for your briefs as well. So I've seen 1,000, can we tap into your influencer network, sort of, you know, additions as part of the added value in kind of brief responses. And so we're actually encouraging that, something probably wouldn't have done 5 years ago, but anyone from Edwina on Vogue to Neil Whittaker on Vogue Living, we've realised that a part of our response needs to be in-store activations, appearances in activations that your brands are doing. So we feel like you know, we can offer you anything from, you know, creative liaison with our editor to actually getting people in your store as well. So we're actually actively pushing people to drive their own profiles within the brands.
Any questions? Yeah.
I'd love to hear more about the data sources and research that you guys use in order to put together a profile of you know, each brand's audience.
I think in terms of data is the holy grail, isn't it? You know, we were actually talking about this yesterday. Years gone by, it used to be, oh, the editor's gut feel. Obviously, the editor's gut feel is still very much part of it, but we have now, with all this engagement on digital, so much information, you know, right down to, you know, exactly what they're buying, when they're buying it, what they're doing, you know. Who would have known that avocados fare really high, you know, when they're buying magazines? But they do across all my titles. It's really interesting, and it's really important that we use it. And across at Pacific, we're lucky again to have Red Fusion, and we're working really closely with Red Fusion. And the database is so massive, and now it's about mining that database for insights, for understandings, for, you know, it's all the backup stuff to sort of say, yes, this is why we're doing it, we're right in what we're doing, and yeah, it's the holy grail. And I think later on you'll probably talk about it in some of the other sessions, more so you know, this being more editorial than that. But yes, data's the holy grail for all of us, I'd say.
I love the fact that we can sometimes get this wonderful information about what everybody's put in their shopping basket along with your magazine. So it really helps guide, you know, decisions, editorial decisions.
And what we do in the lifestyle department at all the brands that I look after, every editor has a screen like this above their desk and with a software that's called Chartbeat. So they can tell every minute, every day, how many people are reading a particular story on their website and how that ranks to the other stories on the website. So there's it's a sort of a live read, which, you know, the newslines sort of you know, take over each other. And we've sort of termed that, I guess, data-driven editorial. So, you know, it was probably at the end of last year that we saw that, oh my God, Kim Kardashian would just go off on Vogue.com.au, and, you know, traditionally we'd like, oh my gosh, no, we would never put Kim Kardashian on a cover. And so we sort of said, well, how can we ignore what is going on online in terms of what people are looking at Vogue.com.au? And so we decided, well, maybe if our audience thinks Kim Kardashian is acceptable, we can too. So how do we go to Kim and say, you can be on the Vogue cover, but we're going to do in the way Vogue Australia wants you to be seen, which was pared back, natural, beautiful, running across the beach like as a normal, natural woman. And that's led to one, I guess, of the biggest selling Vogues in the last couple of years. And that trend is true for, you know, a lot of our covers. So, for example, on GQ, we just put Malcolm Turnbull on the cover, and it's for that exact thing when we said, it was a poll on gq.com.au, like, which pollies would you vote for? And Malcolm was up here, and I was like, after the spill, I said, we have to get him. And so it's an amazing place to be in, really, publishing at the moment. It's exciting because every day we can walk past Chartbeat and go, wow, let's do this. Same for food. So you'll see, you know, our taste brands and our food brands are really, you know, creating editorial in the print magazine based on what is trending online.
Okay, I'm conscious of time, so one more question.
I just wanted to know your perspectives in how revolutionary do you think the Australian market can be? Like, using the Vogue as an example, do you think Vogue Australia would have been able to do the Kim cover had, like, the US had not done the Kim and Kanye? Do you think Australia has enough leverage to be the leading?
Well, I think traditionally Australia has produced the best magazine and editorial teams in the world. And I mean, you know, Neil Whittaker on Vogue Living, he said he moved to Australia because he knew that Australia was the most innovative in terms of, you know, what they were doing, and more creative.
More freedom to be creative.
Exactly. And we actually just recently went back to a conference run by Condé Nast, and, you know, the things they talk about, because they've got so many processes and so many people, they're just talking about the stuff that we've been doing for years in terms of native, in terms of, you know, working closer with clients such as yourself. So I think Australia is so innovative. Yes, you know, there is that sort of thing, as Anna Wintour said, it's okay to put Kim Kardashian on the cover, and we go, yes, great, she's given it the seal of approval, but we still wanted to access it in our own way. And to be honest, it was our relationship. So, you know, our fashion director is very close to Kim Kardashian and Kanye West, and so it wasn't through going through the US office or the publicist. It's actually through, and I've seen the texts between the two saying, you know, I want to do this cover and I'm going to put it on social media and it's going to kick ass. That's a quote from Kim Kardashian. So I think Australians are the most innovative in what they do in terms of publishing.
I haven't approached Kim Kardashian, but we have approached some top interior designers in LA who've agreed to come on board, and that was via Instagram, which we never would have had access to them before.
Exactly.
I think also the fact that you know, I've worked in England and I've worked in America and I've worked in huge organisations, and in fact I think it's a hindrance. The smaller the team, the more creative you can be. The less resources, the more creative you need to be. I've never been more frustrated in my life than, no offence, when I worked at Condé Nast in America, when I worked at Hearst in America, because it was like you were compartmentalised into what job you were doing. Whereas here, you know, you have to do everything, and it actually makes you a better creative. So I think that, you know, to mirror what Nick's saying is that really we have the best creative resources. Unfortunately, we do lose talent overseas. You know, the law, I mean, I'm sure all of you have wanted to go work overseas for some time, or went and travelled, or did all of that, because Australians have that wanderlust. But we are really, because of our distance too, as well. You know, we're kind of, we don't have as many boundaries against us.
And I think to that note, like if you guys do have the time on a big brief, like request to see the editor or the publisher, because seriously, they are so knowledgeable about the audience that you're trying to reach, and you'll get such rich information that, you know, the data-driven editorial that we're talking about, like as Jackie was alluding to as well, they'll know what they eat, how they shop, what they think about. So if
and we
you
thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah.
Thoroughly enjoy it. So please.
There was one other question someone didn't get asked. Yeah, was it there?
I just wanted to ask, do you find that, you know, we're all data-driven now, so we're all looking at how we're going to target, you know, Betty from Blacktown type thing, but do you ever find that that data kills that? I know you're saying that we have such an innovative team, and you guys have such an innovative team in Australia, but do you ever find that you can't create a new trend, you can't challenge new trends because data is overtaking, or do you find that?
No, I find data's a backup. No, data backs up what you know, you don't, data's not the enemy. Data actually, I'm not saying we're not driven by data. The creative process doesn't start with it as a friend, not an enemy.
We've been talking about Betty from Blacktown for like 30 years. That was one of the first terms I heard when I started in the research. I mean, who is this Betty? Everyone loves Betty.
Is anyone called Betty anymore today?
Oh, does that mean we're winding up? Is that
But I think we need to wind up going, given that we have a couple of other presentations after. So I just want to thank these guys. Thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you guys for making my job easy. I didn't have to ask as many questions because you're on fire. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
This is what it sounds like. My lucky strike. My lucky strike. Your body rocking, keep me up all night. One in a million. My lucky strike.